They will tell you the forces standing order, which they are socialized to understand, says this. So this was the forces standing orders. So that for purposes of the day when this verification was being carried out under this, what we are calling stage 2, it was being, and it was published on the eve of the election. There was also the bad faith that on the eve of the elections, you publish such kind of a gazette notice that runs directly counter to the Constitution. Why would anybody do that in good faith? There was lack of good faith. Because in the Republic of Kenya, during my practice of a couple of years in public law, we are aware this is the kind of stuff that we present in constitutional division and the judicial review courts to confirm whether or not it complies with the constitutions or statute. Therefore, when you publish such a gazette notice, an instruction manual that would be deployed during the verification exercise, and the following day is a public holiday, you cannot be taken to have been done that with the best of intentions. We go to stage 2, voting day. Voting day, the first violations as we talked about, not everybody entitled to vote under Article 138 in the presidential elections actually voted on account of non-compliance with the law by the IEBC. The second issue for purposes of that day, I've already talked about it, is a voters register. That on the elections day, and we have said 6 hours, you needed to know how many of us voted. The moment that information was not provided, the system and the process was exposed to anything could happen. And actually by the 15th of August, the worst, all that could go wrong actually went wrong on the 15th of August. And therefore, this is why we are saying these violations were not just minor violations. They were violations that indeed went into the heart of what is before this court, the disputed elections. At stage 3 is what we call the procedure under Article 138. Well, my constitutional law mentor, Dr. Gibson Kamau always used to tell me, and I believe most of the people who had the privilege to be his pupils, that the Constitution must be understood in a historical context. And therefore it is important that we understand Article 138 in a historical context. What is this context? This context, my lords, is this, that we do not have an equivalent of Article 138. We do 6 elections. The Constitution has not told you this is a procedure at the parliamentary elections or the governor or anybody else. It is only reserved for one position, the president position. The procedure at the presidential elections. And this was to leave no room of doubt that this is how in which the verification process ought to be carried about. My lords, the process after we vote in a presidential elections, I first voted in 1992. And since that year, the first multi-party elections, after voting, of course in Kenya they tell you, vote, go home, watch it on television. You will get to know the outcome. How it has always worked is that you are there at home, results are read from constituencies, from everywhere else, across the country. It is a ritual that happens every year as far as I can remember since the year 1992. Now, what is the importance of this ritual? It is important to remember that in the year 2007, this ritual was disrupted by the events that happened at KICC. The disruptions of this ritual led to the post-elections violence, and the rest of it we are all aware what happened after that. So that it is not a simple ritual. And so that in the year 2010, when the Constitution was written, it provided for a sections and 7 days and a procedure, setting out in no uncertain terms, this is how